Hello, fellow students. My name is Lazaro Alvarez, and I'm here doing my Clifton strengths video. Um, my five, my five uh, strengths, like put in order, are input, intellection, adaptability, learner, and context. The input means that I am inquisitive and I like to collect things. I like to have like have a list of things that are important to me. Um, I can collect items. I can collect ideas. I can collect pictures. Anything. And yes, so I like to have things that I might need later or might be useful to me later, or I just things I like or things that might prove valuable sometime. The second one is intellection, which means I like to flex my brain muscles, meaning like I like to learn new things. I like to look at, keep my mind engaged, like how to think about a problem in a different way. I like to solve problems. I like to think of ideas and how many plausible ways to looking at it. And I enjoy doing that. I have to keep myself engaged with something. I cannot do tasks that are repetitive. I need to something I engage my thinking into it. The adaptability is like to live in the moment. I like to find myself immersed in whatever I'm doing at that moment, not thinking so much of the future. The future is something that I'll find eventually, but I'd rather focus on today and like what's important, and that's helpful a lot. The learner, I like to learn. I seek the thrill of the process of learning and the thrill of learning new things, like one new thing at a time. That feeling and that happiness of learning something new like attracts me. That's why I like to learn so much. And the context, I would say this is more like I like to look to the past. I like to find structure on what I'm doing or who I am. I like to look at where I've been in order to guide me to where I am and where I want to go to. And this is very true because sometimes you find yourself too much in the present or too much in the future. But if you look past, you can have like a recollection of where you've been, what you've learned, in order to that inform you and guide you to make better decisions for the future. All right, so my 5 items for my input. I have here my camera. So it's a professional camera that I use wherever I go. If I travel, wherever I travel, I bring it with me. Because one of the things I like to collect is pictures. I'm kind of like, photography is kind of one of my hobbies. And when I travel, take my camera with me, take pictures of anything that I find beautiful, interesting, bewildering, anything. I just bring my camera with me, take some pictures, and sometimes I like to look at them, and it reminds me of the places that I was, and like it brings me back, like it excites my memory, and brings me back to that place when I look at those pictures. And there is always like different ways to take the pictures, so it stimulates me too. For intellection, I have my Italian notebook. I've been learning Italian for the last few months, and I have all this here. This has been my daily habit of learning Italian. It's very interesting because learning a new language, I've already done that once. When I came to the States, I had to learn English. And now that I'm in the States, and I want to learn Italian, because just learning Italian, I'm learning something new every single day. And not just that, I'm learning a new language. It's like a new way of looking at things. There are phrases that are not in English or in Spanish that are in Italian. So it definitely keeps my brain moving constantly. And I find myself working, I find myself traveling, and I find myself doing whatever. And I find myself putting almost everything I do, trying to translate it to Italian. Not just to practice, but just keeps me engaged. And I like that. For adaptability, I got here a very useful friend of mine, my passport. I like to travel, so definitely I need my passport to travel. And when I'm abroad, I think it's the one of the few moments that I truly find myself in the present moment. Like when I travel to a different country, I'm not thinking about home. I'm not thinking about the future. I'm thinking about I'm there and I'm taking everything in. Like all my senses are open to that moment and that moment only. If I'm in a beach somewhere, I'm thinking about the warmth of the beach, and I think about the waves, and I think about how it feels being there. And when I talk to someone that I've never met before, from a different culture, I'm immersed in whatever they're saying and to see however they feel. And that is very important to me. And really, like, that's what I like the most about traveling. When I'm there, I'm there. I'm nowhere else but there. When I'm home, sometimes I find myself thinking of stuff and what I need to do tomorrow or this or that, but when I'm traveling, I'm there. There is nothing else I'm doing. I am there and I'm learning and I'm taking it all in. So this is what allows me to do that. From the learner perspective, I don't have the item here with me, but I have it right here. That bookcase there are a few books I have that are not there, but it has a lot of books. I like to read. I started literature in Cuba for like a year until I had the chance to come to the States. And you would be surprised how many different subjects are there. I have, for example, sculpting, art. I have current events, history, politics, fiction. I got science, I got philosophy, I got everything. So I like to read. I haven't read all of them. I've read most of them. And I really like the feeling of learning something for the first time. It's like when you open a book of a subject that you don't know, you start reading and you start realizing that you understand that subject more today than you did yesterday. And then you either talk to someone or watch something about the subject and you're like, I knew that already. That's amazing. I love that. And for my context, which the context means basically like looking in the past, like having find a structure on things, like how things get to the present and how who you are today relates to who you were yesterday. This is gonna be fun. I know, it's weird, but it's a jug of rice. I'll explain. This jug of rice, that's the way my mom in Cuba, my mom's still in Cuba, but that's the way my mom in Cuba used to store her rice. She didn't keep it in like whatever container it came in, or like she just, whatever she bought it in, she would dump it in the jug. And now, like, it was necessary back in Cuba because they gave you just like a plastic bag with the rice and you have to put it somewhere. Here you can buy the rice like in Publix or something and just have like a Ziploc and you can store it away as it is. I like to put it in a jar and kind of like brings me back. And this is also related to like, I noticed I started like liking cooking when I came to the States because my mom's still there. So I cook for myself and my wife now, and I love cooking. And I've noticed like I like to cook, Cuban food with rice, with beans, with like meat. And that brings me back, and that reminds me of like who I was like growing up as a kid, like seeing my mom picking up the rice from the jug. So one of the first things I did was buy my rice and put it in a jug because it makes me makes me feel warm inside. It makes me feel like I miss who I was, and I don't know. It brings me back, and that's why I like cooking. And I cook almost every night, and I love it. And that's part of it. I know it might seem like a stretch, but it's not. I promise. um, well, the theme that described me the best is intellection. I like learning things every day. I keep my mind engaged in everything I do on a daily basis. At work, at home, at school. I'm always trying. I have like an internal dialogue with myself. I'm very introspective in that way. I'm very sociable, but I always have a conversation with myself, and I like to think, and I like to find new ways of thinking, and challenge my old points of view and with new ones. And if I can ever change my mind, I do because I love that. The one that I use most frequently is the learner, because I mean school of course, but also like even when I was not in school, that's those books are a result of a few years of I just read every day. That's what I do before bed. That's what I do when I have time. That's what I do if I go to the pool, if I go to the beach, if I'm waiting on a plane, if I am waiting on a doctor's appointment, I bring a book with me, whatever book I'm reading at the time, and I read it. And it's just a daily habit. That's not something that's just non-negotiable. I just do it every day. And then the one that surprised me the most was the context one, the one that brings me back, because I actually just thought about that. I didn't realize I was doing this until today, that I was thinking, I was like, wow, what something that keeps me grounded. And I look at that rice, it's funny because I've been my wife mentioned that, and I told her like, oh, that's the way my mom used to do it. And then and I noticed it's because I cook every day. I cook a lot of like the food that I love to have as a child, and I just thought about it. I was like, that's it. Me cooking is what keeps me grounded. Sorry. And then the one I'm gonna use the most in college is adaptability. I'm gonna have to focus on the task at hand and try to do everything I can at the moment and keep myself in the present, because you have to sometimes thinking about the future, thinking about what's next, it can distract you. At least it distracts me from the present of the task that I have at hand. And in school, that's going to be very important. I have to be focused on what I'm doing at the moment. Anyways, so that is my presentation. Everything was very interesting. Thank you.